Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. Information on how to watch, attend, and participate, as well as agendas, minutes, and recordings can be found at Broomfield's website at broomfield.org/council meetings. Public comment is welcome in person or through our call-in service. Instructions for calling in are available on the council meetings webpage. Public comment will be limited to 90 minutes total per item. The first 1 through 15 participants in the queue have 3 minutes to speak. The next 16 through 25 have 2 minutes. And if time remains, the next 26 plus participants in the queue have 1 minute to speak. For our hard of hearing residents present, we have wireless headsets available through our AV team in the back of the council chambers. Election ballots have been mailed and are being accepted, and there is a drop box located outside this building, which is used as a polling place. Per state law, individuals may not advocate for the election or defeat of a candidate or a ballot measure, either inside a polling place or within 100 feet of the entrance to a polling place or drop box. That prohibition includes these council chambers because it is within the building. Therefore, individuals are not allowed to verbally advocate for or against candidates or ballot measures inside this building and in the council chambers. This includes during public comment. Additionally, individuals may not wear pins, t-shirts, hats, and other apparel that displays the name or likeness of any candidate who is on the ballot or bearing the number, title, subject, or logo of a ballot issue or question that is on the ballot. We appreciate everyone's cooperation with this state law. As we approach the end of the month, almost 2,000 Broomfield households will not receive their November food assistance benefits as the U.S. government shutdown continues. During challenging times, it's important to remember that we're stronger when we support one another. Please consider helping your neighbor through donations to our local food banks and other local nonprofits providing these critical services, including Broomfield Fish, Community Food Share, The Refuge, and A Precious Child. If you or your family need assistance, please contact 211 Colorado by dialing 211 or calling toll free, which you're not going to remember this, but you can go to our broomfield.org website for more information on how to get assistance. Together, we can support our neighbors through difficult times and emerging even stronger. The City Council regular meeting is called to order. Councilmember Leslie is absent. There are 9 council members in attendance and a quorum of the council is present. We begin this meeting by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, Ute, and Native peoples. Indigenous peoples have cared for this land for generations and continue to maintain deep cultural and spiritual ties to it. As the city and county of Broomfield, we recognize the responsibility to honor this legacy and the enduring presence of Native communities. May this acknowledgement inspire action that fosters greater understanding, truth, and respect for Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Will everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again. In an effort to keep order for tonight's meeting, I ask council members to limit their comments to 5 minutes. If council members are given an opportunity to speak for a second time, they should limit their comments to 2 minutes. And we'll plan on a 10-minute break at approximately 8 p.m. We'll begin with council's review and approval of this evening's agenda. Council may add or remove items from the consent agenda, or council may revise the order of business for the meeting. Does any member of the council have any comments or questions regarding this evening's agenda? Are there any objections to this agenda being approved? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. There are no items under petitions and communications this evening. Does any member of council have any reports or updates today? Councilmember Lim.
Yes, this is related to SNAP, but in a different vein. As a council member assigned to the Workforce Colorado Rural Alliance, this morning I attended the Broomfield Workforce Development Board meeting. Broomfield workforce staff are partnering with HHS to help residents prepare for the SNAP work registration requirements resulting from HR 1, which begin on November 1st. Adults between the ages of 55 and 64 will now be required to meet work, training, or volunteer requirements of 80 hours a month. Our workforce department is anticipating that it might take time for some SNAP recipients in the 55 to 64 age range to upskill in order to gain employment. Workforce ran a survey with employers to see if they were interested in having volunteers, and certainly our nonprofits were also surveyed to see if they need volunteers. If there are any interested employers or nonprofits who were not already surveyed by Workforce and are interested in receiving volunteers of these made up of these SNAP recipients in that 55 to 64 age group, they are invited to contact the Broomfield Workforce Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lim. Councilmember Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. As Broomfield's representative to the Northwest Parkway Public Highway Authority and Chair of the Board of Directors, just want to let you all know the authority approved the budget for 2026 on Monday, yesterday, and as part of that budget, we are going to continuing to use the royalties from oil and gas that we realized we had a couple of years ago to continue to implement more solar programs, more than doubling what we currently have right now. The budget has roughly $283-ish thousand allocated for those programs.
Well done. Councilmember Marshall Olson?
Thank you, Mayor. As many of you know, I have served on the executive board of the Colorado Municipal League for the last 2 years. We had our monthly meeting last Friday. Governor Polis came to present to the board. Talking about the upcoming legislative session, he was somewhat helpful, but he was definitely, there was definitely some issues that the board cares about related to taxation that he is not going to be helpful with next year. But it was a good meeting. I just want to give council a heads up that since my term on council is done, that I will be off the executive board at the beginning of December. That will leave a vacancy that the board then fills. My tenure on the board was the first time I believe that Broomfield has ever been represented on the CML executive board. So if any of my council colleagues want to apply for that position, I think that would be helpful for us as a community. So I encourage you, and I could put in a good word. So, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. We'll now continue with public comment. General public comment is an opportunity for the public to comment on matters other than the items already listed elsewhere on tonight's agenda. If anyone would like to be heard, please make your way up to the podium, state your name and neighborhood for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Brian Lingo, Ward 1. Before I make my comments, I want to wish Officer McCain happy First Responders Day. Today is National First Responders Day, and she's a rock star. I know it firsthand. It's great service. I took off my hat out of respect for you guys. The last time I spoke, I don't feel that I received the respect from the council members who were eating when I was speaking. So I would ask that you guys reflect on that when you eat dinner and it's hard enough to get up here to speak with you all. It takes a lot of courage. I think it's extremely rude, but this is my gesture to show respect for you guys. And I want you to recognize that. As you remember, the last time I spoke at the city council meeting, I talked about James Marsh Holshin's published comments referring to law enforcement officers as mass thugs and that they are rounding up and kidnapping innocent people. I told you that your silence in not formally addressing this would signal approval of his views in law enforcement. And I'd like to know where you guys are at with that.
Well, Mr. Lingo, this isn't a question and answer time. It's just for public comment. So it is one way. If you want to engage individually, you're welcome to contact council members, but this is not the forum for that.
I guess my question would be, when a citizen brings concerns like this forward, I did have council members reach out to me and want to meet individually, but I don't feel that's the best way to communicate back to somebody who's expressed what I consider serious concerns, especially over a council member. It doesn't feel like I'm heard. Okay, so I guess I can only assume that the city council is doing nothing that I requested to formally address his comments. I guess I can just only assume that your silence is your response. Being that you two are elected officials, your response is unacceptable, disappointing, and not what the Broomfield community is about. Since my remarks, I have received a wave of support, a lot of support from people across the country. Not country, states, few states over. That's kind of not fair to say that. But I also understand that James Marsh Holsheen's term is ending, and his comments have now shifted from demeaning Marks to whether or not this Broomfield City Council will hold themselves accountable with what he said. Additionally, I don't know if this is going to be another example where the narrative is that Broomfield City Council doesn't listen to us residents. I just have to put that out there. With the shift of focus now on you guys and your ability to hold people accountable, I look back at previous city council members and previous city councils. This was natural to do. And one of the things that I noticed with these city council members is they all were wonderful council members, and they put
Mr.
people
Lingo, your
before
time
priorities.
has expired, so please wrap it up.
Well, I have much more to go on. I thought I would get a little bit more time with acknowledging Chrissy, but Officer McCain, I'm sorry.
Just try to wrap it up.
I can't. It's just too much. Yes, I just want my voice heard. I don't want this to go away.
I let you know that your voice is heard. We hear you. There's a difference between hearing and agreeing, but I can still hear you. Okay? You are heard.
That's insulting. That's insulting
It's the fact.
to the entire law enforcement community
Mayor
for you to
Castriotto.
take this stance.
Mayor Castriotto, if I could have a point of privilege.
Yes.
Mr. Lingo, my father-in-law is law enforcement. He was a homicide detective and a street patrolman. So if I thought that Councilmember Marsh Holson's comments were directed at law enforcement, I would have said something, but they weren't. I'm sorry, but I think you're clearly misunderstanding the content of his letter. He was referring to ICE, which has a lot of criticism as to their tactics. He was not referring to our law enforcement or any street law enforcement officers in any way, shape, or form, or we would have said something. So it's simply a disagreement of interpretation. I think it's fair to say our interpretation, and Mr. Marsh Holson has said what he was talking about was ICE, not law enforcement. And I think our police know that we respect them deeply. I know what my father-in-law worked and the danger he put himself in and the service he did. If I thought that was directed toward the work he did, I would have spoken out. It wasn't, in my personal opinion, okay? So I hear you. I think you're misinterpreting, and I appreciate your comments.
I would love to respond back to that, but
Yes, you may.
I think that that's absolutely out of bounds. That is one person's opinion, despite many, many others who have contacted me and told me of my support to voice opposition for politicians that attack our law enforcement community. They can't do it. They're directed by policy. They can't, and ethically they can't. But I can, and I'm going to be vocal. This isn't going away. Law enforcement is all under the same umbrella. And I'm glad, Mr. Cohen, that you said what you did. I'm sure this is a televised council meeting, and a lot of people would like to hear your opinion, that this is about ICE, okay? So that is what it's about. We're all under the same umbrella. It is very unfair for somebody to refer to that we are rounding up, and I say we because ICE is my fellow brothers. Kidnapping innocent people off the streets is absolutely inappropriate. And I'm not even talking about the other stuff that people came and spoke to you guys about, and you just turned a deaf ear to it. I was here on the 23rd, and I heard what everybody said to you all. It's extremely disappointing, but
All right, Ms. Jalingo, we're going to wrap this up. This is public comment. I've given you lots of latitude and a chance to be heard in public. So I appreciate you coming in to make your statements, and I support your First Amendment right along with everybody else's. Thank you.
thank you.
Next.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council and staff. Jesse Applegate, Country Estates. Mayor, I wanted to thank you for bringing up the federal shutdown and calling for the community to help one another. I myself have it on very good authority that poverty is neither a choice nor a moral failing. That said, I am asking you to go a step further. The city has emergency funds available to it, and I cannot help but feel that people starving counts as more of an emergency than any infrastructure project that money might be being kept in reserve for. Therefore, I feel like funding from the city should be used to bolster existing groups such as FISH concerned with such groups concerned with hunger in the CCOB. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jesse Applegate.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for letting me come in. My name is Sky, and I'm a Broomfield resident. This is my first time attending a city council meeting, so thank you guys for letting us come in and speak. I care a lot about affordable housing, and so I really appreciate y'all's commitment to affordable housing and the things that you've been doing. I went to the Harvest Hill groundbreaking, and I thought that that was really cool, especially that there are council members and even our mayor there to speak on that and on the other developments that y'all have been working on. I think that one thing that maybe could be improved in this area is when it comes to middle income housing developments. It looked like there's only one so far in Broomfield, and with wealth inequality in Colorado growing, I think that it's really important for people in the middle income housing range who are being priced out of these types of areas to be able to have an opportunity to have a place to stay, which contributes to economic diversity and job growth. So Broomfield is a really good place also when it comes to affordable housing, since it's in between Denver and Boulder, and it's growing within the city. So having more options for diverse income levels in housing is really important to the city, I think, and we should make it the best place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to be heard?
Good evening. I'm Sandy Anderson from the Broadlands, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, and the leadership staff. First of all, I want to acknowledge all that you are doing, and I want to call particular attention to your support to building the new police department. If anything speaks louder than words, it's actions. And it's been well over 10 years that the building's been needed, and I think your support adding officers, investments, and also adding the facilities that have been sorely needed for so many years is proof of that. So thank you. It's not unnoticed, and I appreciate all the work that you do.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Do we have anybody online? All right. Next is reports. The 2025 third quarter expense report for elected officials was provided on this evening's agenda under reports. Are there any public comments on this item? All right, seeing none. We'll now continue with the report. City Manager Hoffman, do you have a report?
I do, Mayor, as a follow-up to our exec session last week regarding Eagle Trace. There's a lot of communication out there, and so staff, given that by code it's staff's responsibility to set water offers, purchase water and sell water. So based on that, we thought it would be best if the email that was sent out, distributed to council, and subsequent to that, immediately, it went to the 5 Eagle Trace Task Force, which has now become a nonprofit, CDC, in order to move forward to obtain the Eagle Trace privately held land. So I'm just going to read this into the record so that everyone gets the same information at exactly the same time, and staff isn't and council isn't spending a tremendous amount of time trying to articulate what is and isn't happening. As discussed during the executive session on Tuesday, October 21st, I wanted to memorialize the outcome of that discussion. This update will also be shared with the Eagle Trace Task Force, now the CDC nonprofit group, to ensure transparent communication regarding the potential acquisition of the Neeson Reservoir 1 and 2 and the associated Clear Creek water rights. Broomfield staff declined to purchase the Eagle Trace package in early 2024. We did not need the water, and the sources were being sold as a package. It was the Marshall shares and the Neeson Reservoir. The cost was not commensurate with the market value at the time. Despite this, there was a developer, a water broker that acquired that portfolio. There's been a lot of conversation that staff should not have walked away from that, but rather purchased those. So based on those 3 items is why we didn't purchase that water. That water sold for approximately $4 million. The staff analysis indicates the package was overvalued by 1.5 to 2 million, based largely on the assumption that the Lafayette community would accept the rights as part of an annexation. So for those curious, and I'm sure council will be exploring this further, staff is very interested in this. When you have a development in Lafayette, the developer is required to bring their own water. Not only their own water, but a certain kind of water, which is called CBT. The reason that's important, following the exec session in 2025 with council, staff continued to actively explore drainage alternatives as we are relying on 40 years for the Eagle Trace community to access those reservoirs for our drainage. Council made it clear at staff's recommendation in July that we continue to pursue the structures, not the water for the golf course. So we've all been on the same page that we're not purchasing any water rights for support of the golf course, but rather in support of our drainage issue. Subsequent, we approached the water broker to explore whether they would consider selling the Neeson Clear Creek rights, which is attached to the reservoir. In September, the initial ask from them was $3 million for the Clear Creek rights alone. Based on historic yield, maintenance obligations, and the relative value of the comparable Marshall shares that was part of the package, staff replied with an offer of $500,000. Just 1 week over, they reduced it to their offer. They countered at 1.5. Notably, that's the same amount that we calculated they overpaid. We're not surmising, but we are simply noting that that amount was the same amount that was calculated. With council's confirmation, I reaffirmed Broomfield's standing offer of $500,000, not moving forward on any amount above that. An email was sent. There was a reply indicating that they received it. They'll take it back to their client and review further. We'll keep the council apprised of the next steps as well as the community. We do rely on the executive task force for Eagle Trace. Again, there's 5 HOAs, and we do rely on them for dissemination of these emails and these informations because staff doesn't have all 500 emails for those particular residents. And a shout out to Councilmember Lim and Councilmember Anderson, who have been really significant liaisons for staff and the Eagle Trace Task Force, AKA the CDC. More conversations to follow, but I think that goes on record to indicate where we are, what we've done. It's been a 2-year journey exploring this. As we move forward with the Flow Committee, which is the new Utilities Committee, we will be seeking guidance and review on water purchases and water sales based on the expediency that needs to be required. We'll be updating council quarterly on any transactions that may be proposed and or executed during the prior quarter. That completes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manager Hoffman. My only question is, can we get these 5 designated task force appointees to ensure or at least provide some type of confirmation that they've disseminated the information. I know we don't have the contact information, but is there a way that we can get them to agree that they're going to do it formally? Because I'm getting a lot of questions, so I'm just wondering if they're getting it.
Staff can certainly follow up. I can tell you that my main point of contact indicated that they had received it and were supportive of moving forward. And again, from their distribution methodology, we can certainly follow up to say, we're working under the assumption that this has been distributed. We're happy to do that, but we do know that from feedback, they were in receipt of that email.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Do any of my colleagues have any questions? And then Councilmember Cohen.
Just for clarity's sake, if people understand, our offer, the result, if they accept our offer, and you can just clarify for me, the rights we are seeking would keep water basically in Neeson Reservoir to a certain level. It wouldn't dry out. And two, we would be able to keep draining water from that neighborhood into the Neeson Reservoir. We wouldn't have to spend millions on a different drainage system if we don't have access to the reservoirs, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, moving on. Ms. Rogers.
No, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Council's consideration of the consent items is next. Item 6D is a Board of Equalization item. As a reminder, council is the Board of Equalization, so a vote by council on this is a vote for the BOE. The clerk will read all of the consent items by title, and there'll be one opportunity for public comments and questions. Will the clerk please read agenda items 6A through 6E by title?
6A, approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 14th, 2025. 6B, proposed resolution number 2025-146, approving the issuance of a water license to Mile High Water Company. 6C, proposed resolution number 2025-149, transferring Broomfield's 2025 private activity bond allocation to the Broomfield Housing Allowance. 6D, proposed resolution number 2025-147-BOE, appointing an arbitrator to conduct property valuation appeal hearings.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with public comments on the consent items. If anyone would like to speak on these items, please make your way to the podium. Not seeing anyone, no one online either. All right. Does any member of council have any comments on these agenda items? Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you. We received quite a few questions on item 6C. I'm wondering if staff can someone can just kind of clarify what a private activity bond is and how it's not like a direct transfer of money, but rather it's a bond with no interest.
Thank you, Councilmember Anderson. Ms. Slacker is walking.
Now, we forgot, excuse me one second for a point of order, and I apologize, Councilmember, we forgot to do 6E. So should we go back and read it all again, or should Tasha? Okay, we're going back one step. There you go. Consent items by title.
6E, request for executive session related to a conservation easement.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Anderson.
Good evening. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. My name is Lisa Socker. I'm the Housing Programs Manager. And thank you for the opportunity to explain private activity bonds. So I think most importantly is to understand that private activity bonds are also known as conduit bonds because the issuer acts as a conduit for the financing from investors to the private user. PABs are used to attract private investment for projects that have a public benefit. There are strict rules as to which projects can qualify. Affordable rental housing is an example of a qualifying project. A golf course is not. The funds are used by a private entity, such as a developer, to finance its project. PABs are used to attract projects to a region in order to derive a public benefit, which would qualify for tax-exempt status. While municipalities or housing authorities issue the bonds, they have no obligation to repay the investors. Investors purchase the bonds and the private developer is responsible for repayment. The main interest for investors is tax-exempt interest income. And this is just then an administrative step. We have already forwarded to meet the deadline, forwarding the allocation. This is a bond capacity. BHA, our Broomfield Housing Alliance, has already had its board pass the approval for being an issuer of the bonds. On October 22nd, they accepted the allocation for 2025, should it be accepted tonight.
Okay,
Any
Thank you
questions?
for clarifying that.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, then before asking for a motion, I want to remind everyone that item 6E is a request for an executive session, which requires a 2/3 approval of council. Is there a motion by council that the consent items 6A through 6E be approved? Councilmember Henkel.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Then seeing none, council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes 9-0 unanimously. Thank you all very much. There was only one staff memorandum for items 7A through 7F, as they all relate to the budget. However, we'll follow normal procedures with a staff presentation for each item, followed by public comment, council questions, and a vote on each item. First is council's consideration of the City and County of Broomfield budget. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum relating to the City and County of Broomfield budgets, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. And under general circumstances, when we come to the second reading, it's much more abbreviated than the first. However, given the size, scope, complexity, and resident questions that we've had on the budget, we're going to move through the same presentation that we had before. You're going to see 2 slides that are additions to the first reading, given the council questions from the dais that we have now included as far as clarification, not substantive amendments or additions. Mr. Clark, our finance director, has brought his entire finance and budget team to phone a friend so that we can ensure that all questions have been and will continue to be answered as thoughtfully and thoroughly as possible. Mr. Clark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, City Manager Hoffman. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, great to be here with you tonight. Again, I'd like to thank the budget staff right here, Stephanie, Eddie, and Terrence and Byron. They've worked very hard over the last 10 months to get us where we are today. There's also other department staff that I'd also like to thank in different departments. This budget development included challenging economic conditions for sure. Other local governments laid off staff and had service level impacts. We were able to forego that for the 2026 budget. For the 2026 budget development cycle, the level of collaboration was unprecedented. This year, the finance team behind me had a minimum of 3 conversations with each department about what could be reduced to align budget with actuals. This effort was monumental and the departments came back and answered the challenge. Lastly, I also want to thank the City Manager's Office for their partnership in bringing the 2026 budget to Council tonight. The process starts with Council's direction and their vision for the community. Next slide. Tonight, we have the final votes on the 2025 revised 2026 budget, enterprise rate ordinances, and the bond ordinances. We have been before you each month for the last 5 months, so nothing we discuss tonight will be new. Next slide. A few highlights for some of the changes for the 2025 revised budget. The most notable items are related to unfunded mandates. These are contractual cost increases for our police department, Axion, and detention facilities. Additionally, we have contractual increases on insurance premiums as well. Next slide. Again, our budget kickoff meetings occurred at the end of January 2025, and we had a Saturday focus session with council in February, discussing this year's economic environment and fiscal budget constraints. We took in community input and held multiple meetings with each department to formulate the recommendations that are before you tonight. In August, we were before you with the budget highlights. In September, department heads came before you to answer questions related to their own department budgets. A couple of weeks ago, we were before you with the first reading, and this really is a year-long process to get here tonight. Much thought and discussion has gone into the 2026 proposed budget. Next slide. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, we're now in a new phase called the maturing community phase. The once brand new roads, rec centers, and buildings need repair and replacement. We are focused more on this intentional balanced approach between new assets and existing asset management. This requires a shift in mindset not only for staff and council, but also for the community. Next slide. Broomfield's two largest primary revenue sources are property tax and sales tax. Both will be flat the next couple of years when paired with inflation. This is likely the most volatile local government in an environment that Broomfield has maybe ever seen. This reality reinforces the need for disciplined decision-making, conservative planning assumptions in order to ensure long-term sustainability. Next slide. The 2026 general governmental revenue is below where revenues ended in 2024. As we have less revenue and cost increases, we will be having trade-off discussions. If something needs funding, something else will need to be reduced. The 20% fund reserve that we just achieved this year is secure, but any additional flexibility is completely gone. Next slide. We do start each budget process with these the last 4 years with the following 4 buckets. As a foundation, which we align the budget process with Broomfield's community goals, their mandates, obligation, and critical need. We also have another category, which was very minimal this year. Next slide. Because of the financial constraints and an intentional effort to have a very good best-in-class financial structure, we have made several strategic adjustments for this 2026 budget. Those include a decrease in supplies and equipment, vehicle replacement pause for the next 2 years, minimized travel and training, and an exhaustive review of the vacant positions that will come up, including the ones that are vacant now. Next slide. In this slide, you can see our 2026 areas of focus and key highlights. Some of these highlights include the 2026 comp plan and the strategic plan. We also have the implementation of a new ERP that will be starting shortly. And we're also focused on maintaining our current top-tier bond rating and issuing the 3 new bonds that we'll be discussing tonight. Next slide. So where does our funding go? You can see on the right-hand side that over half of our funding goes to police and water utilities and public works. Next slide. We propose for the 5th consecutive year that maintaining public safety, public works, and water utilities as a top priority while continuing to adapt to growth and addressing the deferred maintenance that we've talked so much about, as well as moving forward and shifting to new and long-term financial realities. Next slide. In terms of the budget adds for 2026, we've used a repeatable process of prioritization to align with the community goals. New personnel is quite limited this year, and it's focused on water utilities. There will be 3 positions added, 2 locators and a foreman, which is furthering our commitment to prioritizing water utilities. Next slide. Moving over to non-personnel, here we see highlights for changes in 2026. These include overlapping of key personnel for upcoming retirements, a new FEMA hazmat plan, as well as a victim advocate position, even if the grant funding is not retained. Next slide. Similar to the operating budget, the efforts to manage capital projects for the 2026 budget are in response to a constrained revenue projection over the next couple of years. We will be largely focused on the three large bonded projects for 2026. Next slide. Here's a visual graph of the projects in the CIP and based on the dollar amounts. Of course, the bonded projects here are the top three, and it dramatically drops from there. Transportation is next in funding. That's for roads, along with grant-funded traffic projects. And the fourth one up there is the IT, which includes the software for the new ERP. Next slide. The 2026 plan is largely made up of projects related to mandate, obligation, and critical. The other there is 5 projects that all have grant funding. Next slide. Lastly, we have the borough budget shown here along with the Arista budget on the next slide. Next slide. These budgets are considerably smaller, but they do require their own vote. So staff is seeking approval of the 2026 operating and capital budgets for the city and county, along with the Arista Local Improvement District, the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority, along with the 2025 revised. That concludes my presentation.
All right, we'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone's using the call-in service, yes, no? Okay, never mind. We'll start with in-person comments. If anyone would like to be heard on this item, please make your way to the podium. Then questions from council are next. Members should limit themselves to questions, and the time to introduce amendments for or against this item is later. Are there any questions from council? Councilmember Lim.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on the one public comment by a Ward 3 resident. And I think it's related to something that's in the memo. So the memo says that the proposed budget is consistent with the October 14, 2025 memo, except blah, 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 for a small increase in the budget used for nonprofit distributions under the Human Services Fund. Could someone describe exactly what that small increase for the nonprofits is for?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Lim. That refers to about $50,000 for a nonprofit. We've started, we're doing a look back for making sure that we're providing the correct amount for them. And so we've looked back a couple of years, and that amount is about $50,000.
Okay, so we have examined our allotment in thoroughly for that.
Correct.
And then could staff follow up then directly to the residents' question about what are we doing as the city and county of Broomfield to make sure that those who have lost their SNAP benefits are being able to be served by the nonprofits in the area?
I'm going to take the initial part of that, Councilmember Lim. The conversations continue. So other than the additional information that the mayor provided with regards to our fish and our other access to food banks in the 311 system. We are seeking guidance and direction with our Human Services Director about what additional funds could be. So just for the community, for SNAP benefits, because of the structure, because it's a federal program, Broomfield can't load funds onto the EBT cards, which is the electric benefit transfer cards. Nor can we offset to the state to say, here's a chunk of money in order to go to the SNAP benefits. So therefore, that's why from a structural and an infrastructure perspective, you really do count on your existing structured infrastructure nonprofits that are delivering food or substance to increase the volume and anticipate what that volume looks like. Just to give everyone a point of reference, there's about 2,000 households in the city and county of Broomfield that receive SNAP benefits monthly. That means there's about 4,000 individuals in those 2,000 households. Broomfield pass-through is about $800,000 a month for those SNAP benefits. So anticipating that the city and county of Broomfield, or any local government for that matter, has the reserves and or set-asides to make whole for those funds. I certainly haven't been in contact with any local leader that has that capability. So those dollar amounts aren't just trade-off dollar amounts. Those dollar amounts are not sustainable, nor is the infrastructure to support that. We'll be coming back with council after conversations literally by the end of day today with Human Services and our partners at Fish for a small amount. I think the amount is 31,000. We're doing this as we speak because again, the conversation was right before the meeting for distribution for those SNAP families. Graham, do you have anything additional?
Add on that one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your team and your hard work for making this very difficult and very challenging budget for us for 2026. So I really applaud and I appreciate that, Mr. Graham. Again, in your presentation, your memo, you discussed about the 5.8% increase in expenditures from 2025 to 2026. And again, you hinted and discussed that these are drivers of retaining new positions that would, or these would be primary drivers. My question, and the only question really is, you know, we've seen the city and county of Denver with a hiring freeze and laying off employees, public employees, city employees. Would Broomfield see or experience any of this, or is there any concerns of Broomfield city staff being, seeing their positions being terminated or a hiring freeze in this case?
Mr. Clark, I'm going to take that one. Councilmember Nguyen, we are confident in what we have proposed for 2026. We know that 2027 is going to be more difficult to solve. We know that the property tax between the 6 and 8 million is not going to rebound. So those decisions, in fact, I think our first 2027 budget meeting generally is January, and we're starting that next week. So to say that it will continue to be a challenge in order to solve for what we know will be continuing budget challenges. So as much as I would like to say we will never see that, I can't. For me as a leader, the most important asset we have is our people. And none of this happens without our people. So it is the filter through which we view all things and will continue to view all things. And we know that coming online, although property tax will continue to be at a declining rate, it really does emphasize, Councilmember Nguyen, the need to balance the residential and commercial. We talked a lot about that. It will not be as important and critical as it will be moving forward. We have got to really be conscientious of what that looks like for Broomfield as we move forward. I think the last thing that I would say as far as the challenge that we'll have in 2027, we know that coming online, we have seen tremendous movement in our business economy over the last 27 months. We've seen significant movement. Mr. Romine talked about it a little bit at our October 21st meeting, and that is shifting from reliance on property tax and sales tax to the business use and the businesses that we attract. And we know that that third line is something that we've been focusing on for 24 months and will continue to focus on because that revenue stream is something high-tech, quantum, bio, med, high-tech physics, AI is really where the future goes, and we're able to accommodate that. It's a longer answer, but one that is key. And as Flatirons, as our development and infrastructure and investment begins to pay off, we're seeing it already at Flatirons from a sales tax perspective and a retail sales tax perspective. We anticipate firing on all cylinders as we come into 2028. So we need to stay focused on being really high and tight in 2027.
Thank you, Manager Hoffman, and of course, again, my appreciation to the staff for making this budget. So that's my only question, Mayor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? All right, then next is council's consideration of proposed 2025 Broomfield budget amendment. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7A, Resolution Number 2025-141, authorizing and approving the Second Amendment to the City and County of Broomfield budget for the year 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Ward.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel. Is there any discussion? Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next is council's consideration of the proposed 2026 Broomfield budget. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7A, Resolution Number 2025-142, adopting the budget for the City and County of Broomfield for the fiscal year 2026 and appropriating sums of money.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Shah.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel. Second. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next is the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority's consideration of its 2025 budget amendment and 2026 proposed budget. Before we proceed, we will convene a meeting of the borough. The meeting of the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority is called to order. I'll note that all members of the authority are present this evening with the exception of Borough Member Leslie. Authority Member Goldstein is attending remotely. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum regarding the borough budgets, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Mr. Clark.
Do you need your screens? Do you need your slides up there instead of the Zoom? We can probably accommodate that, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Mr. Clerk, we're hearing those concurrently, correct?
Yes. I've already done my presentation for, Borough and Arista.
No presentation. I'm just sitting here.
No, yeah, it was,
It was
the last two slides of my
Right.
presentation were, regarding that. So I apologize for the confusion.
Oh, no, it's not you. It's clearly me. Thank you for that. Well, then we'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard on the borough budget amendment in the 2026 budget, now's your chance to speak. Okay, we'll go to borough member questions next then. Questions from borough. Are there any questions from our authority members? You okay on there, authority member Goldstein? Okay. Then next is borough's consideration of the proposed revised 2025 budget. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
Seven B, resolution number 2025-143 UR, authorizing and approving the second amendment to the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority budget for the year 2025.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Authority member Law Evans? Thank you. Is there a second? Authority member Henkel?
So moved.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
second. Sorry.
A second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Borough, please cast your vote electronically. Authority member Law Evans, please state your vote verbally. Yes, okay. Authority member Goldstein, please state your vote verbally.
Yes.
Thank you. All borough members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen in a minute. There's a lull. There we go. And that passes unanimously 11-0. Thank you all very much. Moving on to 2026 budget. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7B, resolution number 2025-144 UR, adopting the budget for the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority for the fiscal year 2026 and appropriating sums of money.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Authority member Henkel?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Authority member Nguyen?
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, authority members, please cast your vote electronically. Authority member Law Evans, please. Yes. Authority member Goldstein?
Yes.
Thank you. All borough members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 11-0. Wonderful. Next is the Arista Local Improvement. So our authority members are free to go. Thank you both for joining us
And Mayor,
and for your service.
we'll
yes.
adjourn the borough meeting. There's
And
nothing
the
more for borough.
meeting of the Broomfield Urban Renewal Authority is adjourned. Next is the Arista Local Improvement District's consideration of its 2026 proposed budget. Before we proceed, we'll convene a meeting of the ALID. I'll now call to order the meeting of the Arista Local Improvement District. I'll note that all members are present with the exception of member Leslie. Information on the ALID budget was presented earlier this evening with the presentation Broomfield and Borough's budget. We'll now proceed with public comments. If anyone would like to be heard on this item, please make your way to the podium. No one online? All right, next is the Arista Local Improvement District's consideration of the 2026 budget. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7C, resolution number 2025-145 AID, adopting the budget for the Arista Local Improvement District for the fiscal year 2026 and appropriating sums of money.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Henkel.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Ward. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Arista Local Improvement District members, please cast your vote electronically. And then all ALID members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next, under action items is council's consideration on second reading of a proposed ordinance to amend water, sewer, reclaimed and stormwater fees and service charges. Did I miss something?
No, I'm ready for this one.
I'll now declare the public hearing open was next. Oh, okay. It's there. Don't worry. We got it. Staff will now, thanks for having my back. Staff will now provide the presentation for this item. You got one? Okay.
Definitely.
Mr. Clark.
Thanks, everyone. As we shift over to the enterprise funds, we're now in year 2. I'm going to wait just a second till we pull that up. There we go. Year 2 of the 5-year plan. AECOM's modeling has clarified both near and long-term operational and financial needs. We've been working with them for the last 2 years plus. As we discussed in April, July, and August, we've put these recommendations into our 5-year CIP. And after last year's increase to the base fees, we're positioned well, even through a wetter irrigation summer, which made things more challenging. We're on our way to ensuring each fund stands on its own in terms of infrastructure and reducing reliance on growth for significant funding. Next slide. Each year after we've received all the audited revenue, usually in June, we complete a comprehensive financial analysis. We evaluate revenues and projected expenses based on costs associated with our day-to-day operations, the capital projects, the debt, and the annual maintenance. As you may remember, this is the same rate increase that was projected 18 months ago in the summer of 2024. And many variables had to fall into place to get the proposed increase, but it is in line with our 5-year plan. Next slide. Again, billed revenue increases are evaluated annually as part of the budget process to ensure that the projected revenues match the proposed expenditures. This chart is the proposed increase for the average single-family home. The increase is $1,689 for the average single-family house. Next slide. On this slide, you can see the increase for an average multifamily home is just under $12. Next slide. I believe Councilmember Hinkle, you had some questions as to the increase in non-residential or commercial. Here is a chart here just showing that the non-residential rates are also 15%, just like the residential rates. The commercial includes the retail, offices, restaurants. It also includes HOAs, schools, and churches. The increase for the non-residential, you can see here, is also 15%. Next slide. Here's an updated graph of the Front Range communities. It is important because we're still near the middle in comparison, which shows that even with the larger increases in years 1 and 2 of our 5-year plan, we're still very much in line with the surrounding communities. Our projected increase of 7% for years 3 through 5 is likely to keep us in the middle for the next several years. Next slide. This is also a new slide. We have increased the license fees in accordance with the average annual CPI increases of roughly 4%, which we did last year as well. Next slide. Our new online bill estimator is ready to be rolled out to the public. This is what it looks like. It'll be available to the community on our website in the next couple of days. Next slide. For the enterprise rate ordinance, this ordinance must be passed in order for the bond ordinance to also be passed. They're really part of the same plan. Staff is seeking approval of the enterprise rate ordinances 2286, which would be effective January 1st, 2026, with the first bills going out in February of 2026. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. We'll now proceed with public comments. If any residents are using the call-in service, they should indicate their desire to speak by pressing *9 to raise their hand. If anyone would like to be heard, please come up to the podium. State your name and neighborhood. No takers. Okay, questions from council are next. Members should limit themselves to questions during this portion. Time to introduce amendments and state positions for or against this item is later. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Councilmember Lim.
We have discussed this previously, but I was still getting questions about new development and paying its share of the costs of in the enterprise funds. Could you please describe basically how is it, how does the model view those license fees? So the license fees, you had the slide that it was going up 4% this year. So I guess, I mean, I know the model we were told is proprietary, but could you just give a basic idea of the pros and cons as residents? Certainly I've heard from some residents that, hey, why isn't the new development paying a little bit more? Could you discuss that model a little bit?
Yes, thank you for the question, Councilmember Lim. And kind of what City Manager Hoffman alluded to, we have to have a balance. And in 2022, we did raise the license fees a lot at that time. We also have to stay within the market of our surrounding communities, which we are also. But we don't want to raise fees so high that businesses would go over to an adjacent community for their business versus coming here based on the fees. So we feel like our fees are in a good spot. We do look at that in the model. It's considered revenue each year. It's been a little tougher the last couple of years as development has slowed. But we did hit our number in 2024 with that development, and it does definitely offset, the costs of the enterprise fund. There's a lot of different variables in the enterprise fund. The model, it's very complex. That is just one component of the model itself.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2286. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7D, ordinance number 2286, amending Title 13 of the Broomfield Municipal Code to change water, wastewater, and reclaimed wastewater and stormwater fees and service charges.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second and final reading and order published by title? Councilmember Wynn?
I make this motion.
All right, a second, Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2286. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote, and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes 6-3. Next, under action items, is the public hearing and council's consideration on second reading of 3 ordinances related to enterprise revenue bonds and police building certificate participation. I'll now declare the public hearing open for these ordinances. Staff will now provide the presentation for this item.
It is the Graham Clark Show.
I know. Well, the whole team. We got the budget masters in the house.
Last and final here. Thank you. Okay, we will now move over to the third item tonight, which is the bond ordinances. Again, you've heard this information on the bonds each month for the last 5 months. Next slide. I did want to point out something earlier. Councilmember Lim asked a good question via email. She noted amounts are different from the ordinance and the presentation. Wanted to take a minute to explain that. The budget and previous bond presentation showed the amounts most likely to be bonded rather than the maximum not to exceed, which are now on the presentation. We've updated the amounts on the presentation to the not to exceed amounts. But again, we're hoping that those projects will most likely be lower, and the ones that the actual contractual amounts will be closer to what we have in the budget. As we've discussed for a couple of years now, CCOB plans on issuing 3 bonds in the next 3 months. The general fund for the police and the first phase of the courts remodel, the water fund for the 2 water tanks, and the wastewater expansion phase 1 project. Next slide. Just for some additional information regarding the bonds, design is being finalized, and all are very close to being ready to break ground in the coming months after we issue the bonds. For the tanks, we are addressing the additional water capacity, improving the water quality, equalizing the peak demands, reducing pressure fluctuations in the distribution system, as well as providing more reserves for firefighting, which is important. Additionally, the regulations for the wastewater expansion project, these are federally mandated. We have to do that, as Ken has mentioned many times. And lastly, the additional police capacity is long overdue. You might remember, as part of the 2023 property tax revenue increase, funding for the supporting the construction of the police building, in collaboration with our financial advisors, Michael Perchetti's here, staff determined that using the set-aside property tax dollars to retire the 2017 COPs represents a sound long-term financial strategy. And by applying these funds and coordinating the payoff of prior debt, the city can offset some financial impact of issuing the new debt for the upcoming police and courts facility. We do feel really good about our recent credit rating upgrades and the city's strong financial position as we go forward with issuing these bonds. Next slide. Again, we are joined here tonight by RBC and also Kim Crawford from our bond counsel. If you have additional questions, we're thankful for their ongoing partnership. We're currently on schedule to issue these bonds in late January or early February. And this concludes the presentation on the bond portion. Thank you.
We'll proceed with public comments on this item. If anyone would like to be heard, please make your way to the podium. Questions from council are next. Any questions from my colleagues? Mayor Pro Tem Schaaf.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted you had mentioned that the water and sewer license fees and these bonds are connected, and this is one of the later ones, so I hope this is okay that I'm asking at this point. That now that ordinance number 2286, amending title 13 of the Broomfield Municipal Code to change water, wastewater, reclaimed wastewater, and stormwater fees and service charges, now that that has been amended and officially passed, we now have the revenue for those enterprise bonds. Is that correct?
Yes, we do. The rate increases the last couple of years have made that possible, and we're in a good position as we move forward.
Based upon those projections, we'll have that revenue. That's what I should say.
Yes, correct.
Thank you for that. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing no further questions, the public hearing is closed. Next is council's consideration of each item. We'll start with proposed ordinance number 2288. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7E, ordinance number 2288, authorizing the issuance of the city and county of priced water revenue bonds series 2026.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second reading and order published by title? Councilmember Delgadillo.
Who moved?
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Ward.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, council, please move forward to vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote, almost, oops, sorry. And the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2289. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7E, ordinance number 2289, authorizing the issuance of the City and County of Broomfield, Colorado Sewer Activity Enterprise Sewer Revenue and Refunding Bonds Series 2026.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second reading and order it published by title? Councilmember Anderson.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Wynn.
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Being no discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance 2289. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2290. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7E, ordinance number 2290, concerning the financing of police and courts buildings and approving the execution and delivery of the site lease agreement, lease purchase agreement, and related documents.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second reading and order it published by title? Councilmember Marsh Holshan.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel. Second. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Being no further discussion, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2290. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Thank you all so much, but we're not done. The next item this evening are two proposed resolutions related to the continuation of the Utility Rate Assistance Fund and the partial property tax refund programs. Staff will now provide the presentation for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And Lisa Soccer is making her way back down. She's our housing program manager. Ms. Soccer.
Thank you. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, thank you for the opportunity to review the 2026 partial property tax refund and the utility rate fund programs, which have become synonymous with PPTR and URAF. Both programs have been successful at serving the targeted populations. Staff proposes to continue both programs in 2026. Next slide, please. The PPTR program was approved by Council in November 2022 and initiated in 2023. At that time, it was estimated to serve 600 to 700 households for the tax years 2023 and 2024. In 2025, PPTR exceeded this estimate and served over 963 households to date and exhausted the 2025 budget of $500,000. Staff proposes to largely maintain the same attributes for the PPTR program for the 2026 fiscal year. This recommendation is based on the program's stability, its effective targeting the vulnerable populations, and a balanced fiscal approach, even with anticipated adjustments to refund amounts. The program is specifically designed to assist seniors 65 plus, as well as disabled homeowners and veterans who are most impacted by the property taxes pressures. The current 0 to 80% area median income threshold successfully reaches the targeted demographic. One of the main observations was that over 40% of the households served were at or below 30% AMI. 36% were between the 31 and 60% AMI. Another 19% were between the 61 to 80% AMI. The ceiling of 80% AMI ensures continued support for moderate income seniors and disabled individuals vulnerable to the rising property costs. Established in 2023, the program has proven operationally successful, minimizing changes to its core structure. Particularly, eligibility reduces the administrative burden. The most notable change proposed for 2026 is a budget increase to $600,000, increase of $100,000 from 2025, which was, as you can see, $500,000, reflecting prior year expenditures and the expected demand. While state-level tax relief from House Bill 24B 1001 may lower individual refund amounts slightly, PPTR remains a vital local supplement, providing a crucial safety net for residents. Next slide, please. And now we move on to review the URAF program. The 2025 URAF program successfully refunded or credited over 1,400 households. The majority of the applicants, that was 74% of households served, were at or under 60% AMI. The primary proposed change for URAF is the reduction of the eligibility threshold from 100% to 60% AMI. A review of 2025 applications revealed that 74% of all URAF applicants had incomes at or below 60% AMI. By focusing the program entirely on this demographic, the city ensures that the limited public funds are directed to the residents with the highest financial need, maximizing the program's impact on utility affordability where it is most crucial. This adjustment allows the proposal of a reduced program budget for 2026 fiscal year compared to the 2025 budget, while still serving the vast majority of the demonstrated need. And if you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Maintaining the current assistance levels of $20 a month for single-family homes, $18 a month for duplexes, townhomes, and mobile homes, and $17 a month for apartments and condominiums provides reliable and predictable relief. In any case, the maximum is $240 per year. As a recap, any resident meeting the eligibility criteria, whether they reside in a mobile home park, a multifamily complex, or a single-family home, may apply for the Utility Rate Assistance Fund credit or refund. It has been a challenge to reach the residents of mobile home parks and multifamily complexes. However, housing staff is working diligently to nurture the partnerships, whether with Colorado Poverty Law Project, property management companies, or that of Centennial Elementary, whose student population consists largely of students from the local mobile home park. Building a trusting community where residents feel safe to explore the resources available to them is a priority. Housing will continue to communicate URAF alongside with its other housing programs in 2026 and work with the communications department to get the 2026 program information to the eligible households. In alignment with council feedback, staff will maintain a quarterly payout schedule for the URAF program. The Housing Division remains fully committed to implementing the 2026 program using existing resources. Next slide. This concludes staff's presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. We'll start with public comments. If anyone would like to speak on this item, please come on up to the podium. I think we have a person that wants to speak. Just state your name and neighborhood for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
All right. My name is Natalia Mahoney, and I live in the Via Vara neighborhood. This is actually my first time speaking at a city council meeting, so
welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to come and speak really quickly to support item 7F, the partial property tax refund and utility rate assistance fund. As you are all probably well aware, the cost of living is really high, rent is really high, groceries are very expensive. And of course, as we've discussed, SNAP benefits are being paused in November. And all of this has a cumulative bad effect on the finances of many of our neighbors in Broomfield. Many people, especially our most vulnerable, are being squeezed financially, and these programs are a really, really important way to kind of ease that burden, especially as this federal safety net seems to be fraying. Local action is more important than ever. So I would maybe argue that these programs could be expanded, but at the very least, I urge you to vote yes to maintain them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well done. It gets easier every time. Would anyone else like to be heard? Any questions from council? All good on that? Oh, okay, Councilmember Nguyen.
Just one quick question, and I guess were all the funds that were allocated for 25 used? I mean, this is a quick question, just because there is the need. Obviously, people are using it. Was there any leftover rollover funds at all?
So for the PPTR funds, they are fully exhausted.
Okay. That's it.
And the URAF is on a very good track.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions from my colleagues? Seeing none. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-153. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7F, proposed resolution number 2025-153, approving the continuation of the Utility Rate Assistance Fund, URAF program.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Henkel?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Ward? It's like all these hands over here. I love your
Second.
enthusiasm. Thank you for paying attention. All right, got to move in a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Councilmember, please enter your vote electronically. And the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Thank you all very much. I'm so glad we're able to continue these programs. And there's another one. Thank you. I just scrolled right past it. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-154. Will the clerk please read that resolution by title?
7F, proposed resolution number 2025-154, approving the continuation of the partial property tax refund PPTR program.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Anderson?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Henkel?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Okay, all council members, please cast your vote electronically. And the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. All right, I just want to take a second and thank you all so much. Everybody who had a part in putting all of this budget together, the programs together. I know the task was very monumental this year, and I'm just so proud of all of you for getting it done. So thank you. You have my sincere appreciation. I don't know why I got emotional, but I did.
We
love
the fact that you're so emotional about this because we too are so emotional about it. And we appreciate the shout
We've
out.
accomplished, and I just don't want that to go unsaid. So I want to recognize all the work that went into this. I'm so proud. So thank you. I'm clapping for you all. We still have some other things to do. So back to that. Not done with checking all the things off the list. Next, under action items this evening are proposed resolutions related to the Broomfield Water Tanks project. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Couldn't possibly make it through the evening regarding utilities without hearing from Mr. Rutt.
And to bring up all my toys. Well, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Managers, Hoffman. It's Ken Rutt, Director of Water Utilities. It's once again my privilege to come before you and talk about the water tank project. So tonight, staff is seeking approval for the early work packages related for construction and also for the engineering services during construction. Next slide. So just a little, since it's been a few months since we've been here talking about water tanks, just a little bit on the background. Water planning effort is obviously a continuous process that our staff partakes in. And that includes forecasts, gap analysis, current potable water supplies, and the ultimate development. And we work closely with many departments throughout the city, including community development, divisions of planning, engineering, and economic development. And so we've identified, this also identifies the scope and timing of when significant capital improvements are required to close that gap. And it also assists with the financial planning necessary to fund the construction and new capital facilities, which we really appreciate our partnership with our finance team and all the great work they do. And then also our water system model that confirmed the need for the North Area water tanks. The North Area potable water tanks consists of 2 3 million gallon tanks, which are designed to be partially buried. It is designed to improve our water quality, as Director Graham Clark has indicated. And then also equalize our peak water demands, our pressure fluctuations in the distribution system on the east side of the service area, which is from Main Street east, all the way to our boundaries on the south, all the way to the boundaries on the northeast corner. It is also provide reserves for firefighting. Upon completion, the potable water storage will increase our total capacity from 6 million gallons to 12 million gallons. Next slide. The Broomfield water storage expansion has been a longstanding need. It was first identified clear back in 2001. From there, staff worked with the developers through the Anthem 24 developers to set aside property for the water storage. It incorporated that into the Anthem 24 plat in 2025, which was finalized in 2026. Sorry, 2015 and 2016. Otherwise, we haven't got there yet. So sorry about that. And then the system model confirmation is that Broomfield's water system model confirmed the need for this water system capacity expansion. And then on the council briefing at our October 18th, 2022 study session, Broomfield staff provided a comprehensive overview of water resources to the council, and then the site development plan approval was approved for partially buried tanks by council on the July 24th, 2024 meeting. Next slide. So the Broomfield Tank Project will be executed in two distinct packages. The first one is the early work package. It is valued at $4.4 million. The 2025 budget funds are critical for procuring the long lead items, equipments, including a lot of the electronics, which is the variable frequency drives, some of our pumps, particularly the electrical equipment, generators, and to initiate some of the parts of the construction project to begin the actual physical construction. This also allowed critical work to commence immediately, bridging the period until the bond fundings can be secured in early 2026. The late work package is being planned to be presented to council in March of 2026 after we receive the necessary bond funding. Similarly, we are proposing the engineering service agreement, which will be presented in two parts also, the early work package and a late work package due to funding availability. And the early package for the engineering is valued at estimate at $700,000. And the overall between the two package is roughly $3 million in the engineering fees. Next slide. So our construction management general contractor selection. Broomfield issued an RFQ for construction management and general contractor. This provides us significant advantages in our capital programs versus a traditional design build. It allows the contractor to come in early in the process to work alongside of staff and also alongside the design engineer to improve our cost controls, to do valued engineering, to evaluate constructability of the designs. It also enhances communications between the contractor, the city, and the design firm, and it improves our timeline. And so projects are able to be completed on time or slightly ahead of schedule. It also provides some cost-saving initiatives. So part of our agreements with this is it's a guaranteed maximum price. And what that allows us to do is that the contractor sets a maximum price for the project, and then we allow a 80-20% split of 80% Broomfield and 20% contractor of any savings achieved under the guaranteed maximum price. And hence, this is why we're able to achieve that with our Mesa Booster Station and also the Sienna Reservoir and Pipeline projects. We were able to, our net proceeds of that 80% turned out to be about $5.67 million, which helps us fund this early package. Next slide. So what's our community outreach and next steps for this project as we be, assuming we have approval, and what's the next steps for us? So one of the values that we do for community outreach is postcard notifications. And will be mailed to all the residents in the Anthem Reserve or Anthem 24 area, along with those living within 1,000 feet of the project site. Postcards will include a project description, schedule, and contact information with a planned project start date for the actual construction around January 5th. The postcards are anticipated to be mailed in mid-December. A neighborhood meeting will be held for all interested residents, and that was going to be scheduled on December 10th at 6 p.m., and that'll be at the Broomfield Municipal Shops, which are located at 3951 West 144th Avenue. In addition, we work alongside our capital improvement folks, and we will have the projects already on that site. So for project information, you can visit broomfield.org, or you can search North Area Tanks, or you can go directly to broomfield.org/3571, and you can find up-to-date information on this project. Also, community updates will include a little bit of what we're calling coffee and donuts, mostly because I like the donuts, but community might want the coffee. But we're planning on holding those monthly to start, and then schedule at interviews based on what the resident participation would be after that point. And then the time and location will be coordinated depending on weather, since a lot of this is starting in January. The first ones probably will be held in some indoor location, maybe at the Broomfield Municipal Shops. And as the weather warms up, we would look for a location on site, whether that's a pavilion type of thing in the community where it's easier for residents to get there. And then also we'll provide information on the contact numbers, project information that will be provided. Next slide. One of the question that came up was, what is the traffic pattern and what that may look like? And so what we provided here is a Google Map overview. The sidewalks, you have an X on the very top of the screen. That sidewalk will need to be closed at the top and at the bottom. The bottom's close to West 152nd. And so the trail through that area will also need to be closed on the western side of that trail. The trail that goes off of the cul-de-sac will also need to be closed on the east edge. And then the trail will be closed right off of that goes off to the west. And that's for construction safety and also for all the construction activity. The construction access is coming off of Lowell, just to the north of 152nd Street. So construction traffic is not planned to be on 152nd Street or Avenue, nor is it to be on King Court. The traffic will come off of Lowell Boulevard and enter the current open space area and the water tank project location. And so that's where the construction traffic will be centralized. So we are not planning to be through the neighborhood. Next slide. So tonight, staff recommends the approval of the construction agreement with Garney for the early work package in proposed resolution 2025-131 in the amount of $4.4 million. And then the engineering services during construction with Burns and McDonald engineers for the early work package that's proposed in resolution 2025-137 in the amount of $700,000. And then also the resolution 2025-152 be adopted, which is expressing the intent of the city and county of Broomfield to be reimbursed for certain expenses related to the construction of the water improvements. And that completes my report.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mr. Rutt. We'll now proceed with public comments. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Seeing none, any questions from council? Mayor Pro Tem, I thought that was weird. Yes, you're first, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
So I have a question from a resident. So, and I think it might be more for finance, but I'll ask it and you can decide who gets the question. So, can you talk about where on the finance side of this agreement, in the 2025, 2026 budgets, is the available change of use funds that we're using to fund the $5.6 million towards the tanks while the bond issuance goes through the required project? And maybe more specifically, where savings we've encountered savings from past projects and why these contractor agreements, general contractor agreements are an advantage for these type of projects as opposed to going with a different kind of agreement.
Thanks for the question, Mayor Pro Tem. Two specific projects where we got many savings over the last year was the Mesa Booster Station. And that was pretty large savings. And it was kind of what Mr. Rutt referred to in that the guaranteed maximum price. Overall, we had about $5.6 million over two projects that allowed us to start this early work package. So it's a great example of cost savings and what we're able to do with it and leverage that to kind of start the project and bond for less. I'm sure Mr. Rutt has some additional comments.
So some of the, I think, advantages for going through the procurement practices of using a construction manager, general contractor in the guaranteed maximum price procedures and policies is that it allows us to, as we begin design, a lot of times the traditional design build is the engineer goes through the whole design project, designs it to 90% or so, and then we bring in the contractor. And so then the contractor is really just trying to price out the project and to build it. By bringing the contractor in under this format, the construction manager, general contractor, and using the guaranteed maximum price, we bring the contractor in generally just prior to the 30% or right at 30% of design, which allows the contractor to look at the constructability, to provide their experiences in constructing these facilities, because these are specialized construction firms, and that's all they do is water facilities and wastewater facilities. And so they use their expertise on how they build these, how these facilities are built. And then they work with the engineer along with the staff, and we can evaluate alternatives to maybe a design that was more costly, and we can necessitate, first of all, the upfront design cost savings. And then the second part of that is through the cost share activity is as we begin construction, there's always the unknowns. And how do we take advantage of some of the cost savings we find as we begin to construct these programs? So we provide the contractor with a small incentive of 20% to find these, and then we net 80% of that cost savings. And that's what we saw, particularly in the Mesa Water Booster Station project, was I think about 3.4 million, 3.7 million, I mean, on the Mesa project, and then about 1.97 million on the Sienna Reservoir project, which then came out to about 5.67 million in that savings. So we've been very successful working in this format, as has many of our communities around us. It also ensures that the contractors we use are high quality and highly expert in these projects. And that also allows us to take advantage of their expertise throughout the design and throughout the construction. And we've been very successful with this format.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cohen.
Thank you, Mayor. I had just a couple of questions about the construction. And I wondered if we could see the map again, that'd be really helpful. And thank you for including that in the presentation. I just wanted to clarify a few things, because I've already getting questions specifically from residents who were concerned that the trucks might go through the Anthem Reserve neighborhood, that you've clarified that. I wanted to ask regarding the 1,000-foot perimeter, is the residents within 1,000 foot of the perimeter will receive notice? So folks along West 152nd, as well as all of Anthem Reserve?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything in the budget in terms of dust mitigation to protect the homes from as you're excavating tons of dirt and rock from this location, will there be, the walls like you see around oil drilling that protects for noise and for dust?
So we do have dust mitigation as part of the project. It's traditional construction techniques that you see in any of the development where water trucks and the use of water. The walls, we did take a look and we've estimated the cost of if you put up the walls that's similar to what's around oil and gas facilities. That would add $1.4 million to the project to put that around the facilities.
Has there been any sense of they might be needed in specific areas? I could see the folks along Irving, that court could get a heavy cloud.
Based on our conversations with Garney, who is the contractor, selected contractor on this project, they're probably the largest water tank builders in the state of Colorado and throughout the western United States. They have never used any of those type of facilities in any of their projects, nor have they experienced a significant issue with complaints about dust.
So they'll be frequently watering
Yes.
to keep the dust down.
That's correct.
The residents should not expect too much dust and clouds. Also, I've received questions about work hours and lighting, et cetera, whether it would go into the evening and weekends, et cetera.
The contractor is required to comply with our hours of operation that are outlined in our standard and specs and ordinance. Yeah, I believe that is 7 to 7 Monday through Friday and 8 to 6, 9 to 6 on Saturday. And Saturday does require the city engineer to agree to those Saturday workdays. So they don't generally happen very often, but not to say that they don't. This project is more of a greenfield project, so we're not anticipating very many of those Saturdays.
And lastly, I'm just curious, there's a lot of dirt to be removed. Where are we removing it to? Or is there
A
any
large
use
part-
for it?
Yeah, a large part of that dirt is actually going to be used on the west side of Lowell. There's a couple of ravines on the east side of Lowell, and we worked with our open space folks and to identify some areas where some fill dirt would be very useful. And so a lot of the dirt will be used to fill up some of those ravines.
Deep ravines.
It's a long ways. Yeah, it'll take up a majority of the dirt that we're taking out.
Wow, okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
So this isn't quite related to this step here on the finance side of it, but going along with these questions about construction and other pieces, one of the biggest concerns, once these tanks are in, was the reconstruction of that trail that exists right now. And is the plan still, can you go over quickly what the plan is there? Will this be like at a certain point in this development, we will come back to revisit just exactly what that trail will look like?
Yeah, the trails will be reconstructed. Our current plan is to be working closely with open space in the community to ensure that the trails are constructed according to the open space requirements.
Okay, and could that be included in one of those coffee and donut meetings at some point? And
Yes.
discuss that? Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing none? There are 3 items related to the water tanks project. The first is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-131. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7G, proposed resolution number 2025-131, authorizing and approving the guaranteed maximum price amendment 2 to the construction agreement with Garning Construction, Inc. for the Broomfield Tanks Project Early Work Package EWP.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Wynn.
I make this motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Ward.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. Next is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-137. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7G, proposed resolution number 2025-137, authorizing the consulting agreement with Burns McDonnell Engineering, Inc.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Ward?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Marshall-Olson?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, council members, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. The last item related to the water tank project is council's consideration of proposed resolution number 2025-152. Will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
7G, proposed resolution number 2025-152, expressing the intent of the city and county of Broomfield to be reimbursed for certain expenses related to the construction of water improvements.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Mayor Pro Tem Shah?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen?
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. All right, one more. Should we do this and then take a break or should we take the break now? How's council feeling? Just keep going. Okay, I haven't heard any objections. All right, the next item under action items, we've got momentum. This evening is a public hearing and council's consideration on second reading of a proposed ordinance related to water and sewer licenses. I'll now declare the public hearing open. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. And joining us is Katie Allen. Ms. Allen, walk us through this item, please.
Thank you very much, Manager Hoffman. Katie Allen, Director of Community Development, and I just have one slide. Proposed ordinance 2287 contains updates to the Broomfield Municipal Code regarding the purchase of water and sewer licenses. The proposed changes are being considered to prohibit the advanced purchase of water and sewer licenses. From this point going forward, it does not affect previously purchased licenses. The ordinance, if adopted, will require that water and sewer licenses be purchased concurrently with the issuance of a building permit or an irrigation tap request. The ordinance is necessary to accurately model the revenues and expenditures of the water and sewer enterprise funds and plan for rate adjustments accordingly. Proposed ordinance 2287 also clarifies and updates the application process for water and sewer licenses and provides a process for water and sewer license refunds. Refunds may be given if a project and its associated building permit have been canceled within 12 months of purchase, or if a multi-tenant shell building over-purchased licenses because the future tenants were uncertain at the time of application. In the case of tenant finish of shell buildings, the refund request must be made within 24 months of the date of purchase of the licenses. And that concludes my presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Allen. We'll now proceed with public comments. Would anyone like to speak on this item? Seeing none, any questions from council? All right, then. There being no further questions, the public hearing is closed. Next is council's consideration of proposed ordinance number 2287. Will the clerk please read the proposed ordinance by title?
7H, ordinance number 2287, amending chapter 13-02, water licenses and chapter 13-08, sewer licenses.
Thank you. Is there a motion? I feel like I've done this so many times. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance on second and final reading and order it published by title? Councilmember Anderson.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? That's 3 over here. Councilmember Ward.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward to the vote on ordinance number 2287. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have entered their vote and the results will be displayed on the screen. That passes unanimously 9-0. The final item under action items this evening is a proposed resolution related to the service plan for the BBC Metropolitan District. Council has a copy of the agenda memorandum, which I'll ask our staff to summarize.
Maddie Guzman is, this is her first time at the podium and before
Welcome.
council.
We're
Ms.
nice.
Guzman, introduce this item and walk us through it if you would, please.
Thank you so much, Manager Hoffman. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council, good evening. Maddie Guzman, Administrative Analyst in the City Manager's Office. Thank you for your time and attention to my presentation, the last on the agenda for tonight. So the district that we are discussing tonight was originally formed in 2002 as the BBC Overlook Metropolitan District. It was amended in 2012 and the Overlook properties were removed from the district and it was officially renamed the BBC Metropolitan District. It is located at the end of Via Vara along Northwest Parkway and is primarily comprised of residential development. Next slide, please. So the roads that you see on this slide highlighted in red are portions of Del Corso Way and Via Lotta Drive, and they are along the eastern border of the district. They were built by the developer and are still privately owned and maintained. Representatives from the Metropolitan District have determined that they have the resources to be able to maintain these roads moving forward. However, the current service plan does not allow for the transfer of ownership to the Metropolitan District. The approval of the resolution being brought forward tonight would amend the service plan for the district to allow for that transfer of ownership. This would allow the Metropolitan District to be able to maintain the portions of the roads within the district boundaries professionally, the same level that they would maintain any other assets within their ownership. Next slide, please. At this time, I can take any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any public comments on this item? Please come on up to the podium. State your name and neighborhood for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm actually not, I don't have a public comment. I represent the district with.
Oh,
So
you
I'm
can have
sorry, I
more than
stepped
3
out.
minutes. It's okay.
No, I'm sorry, I stepped out when we started.
Oh.
I just wanted to provide one note that we noticed a public hearing for this, which is required under statute. So you're already doing great, like offering the public a chance to speak. So I just wanted to clarify that was required just because it wasn't on the agenda.
Oh.
But I'm here to answer any questions that the council has about this.
Really, what was your name again? I'm sorry.
Jillian Martin, sorry.
Jillian Martin, that's okay. We just for the record, we appreciate you coming forward. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, well then we'll go to council questions. Next, does any member of council have any questions? Councilmember Henkel.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here tonight. We thought this night was going to go a lot longer than it was, so it's not too bad. This is the first time I think I've seen this where we move something from a privately owned entity to a metro district. And I'm kind of keen on metro districts. So when we have the developer, sometimes the developer is the metro district. So who is serving on the metro district and who's asking for this to go from the developer to the metro district?
Yeah, I can speak on this. So the district was organized by the developer, it's Meritage Homes. And according to an agreement, the subdivision improvement agreement with the city and the developer, which is from 2016, I believe, the service plan was kind of developed assuming that the city would take over operation and maintenance of street improvements. So the district was organized to construct, finance, do all of these improvements, but it was anticipated that the city would take over. It's my understanding that this specific roadway, Del Corso, wasn't developed to the standards of the city for them to take over. So, and now it's going to be taken over by the district if this is approved. But since we don't have that power to operate and maintain the service plan, that's why we're doing an amendment.
So who serves on the district?
Residents currently, and I think we have 2 advisors of the developer, but
it's mainly residents who are taking this on. Is that on the board? Or on the Metro District board?
I can't recall the exact members of the board right now. I believe it might be all developer representatives.
Might be good. Maybe let's look that up if anyone else has any other questions. But number 2 question that I have then is I read in the financial, the agreement that said the financial plan reflects that the district will impose a mill levy of approximately 5 mills to fund the operation expenses. There are statutory and constitutional limits on the district's ability to increase its mill levy for provision of operation and maintenance services without an election. The district received the electoral approval to waive the foregoing limitations. So how is this waived and by whom?
I'm not sure. Did you say you were reading from the financial plan is what that was?
It
from?
was it was part of the agreement. It was like 52 pages or something like that. And there was a part in there where I just wanted to know, are we moving now the cost now to the residents? And who is asking to do that? Because if you're raising it 5 mils to fund the operation expenses, I need to know who is asking to do that. And now are the residents a part of that conversation? So that deals with question number 1. Or is it just the developer moving it, to why can't the developer, if it was privately owned, if it was assumed, was it in writing that the city and county was supposed to take it over?
Yes, that's the subdivision improvement agreement that I referenced earlier. So it was anticipated to be assumed by the city. I'm not sure exactly what the specs are with the issues with the road and why that was not ultimately accepted by the city. But since it's not, it's the intention for it to move over to the district. As far as a mill levy and authorization to impose a general fund mill for this, the district already has a general fund mill levy, so it's already authorized in their election to provide operation and maintenance. And we also have the proposed budget for 2026. We're not anticipating an increase in that mill levy for the operation of just like this one part of the roadway, if that answers your concerns.
Yes. Okay. I have assistants here. Apparently on the board of directors is Chelsea Green, Eric Harris, Carla Hawkins, and then there's 2 vacancies.
Yeah, those are all developer representatives at this point. I wasn't sure if there were any other additional homeowners, so thank you for.
Okay, so this is basically developer to developer. And so will they have an election soon to have residents on the board?
Residents can submit self-nomination forms. Since there are vacancies, I believe we're not having an election for November because we didn't receive any. We published that there were vacancies. We didn't receive any forms from homeowners to be on the board, but they can be appointed by current directors at any time.
Okay, and then one more question. How are the residents notified of the vacancies or to run for these?
We would publish
Online?
a notice of a vacancy. Yeah, I believe they're mailed. I can look up that answer. I don't want to be searching it up here, but yeah, they would be provided notice. It's a statutory requirement.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Shah.
Thank you. And you answered my first question, which was why the city and county was not taking ownership of this road. So thank you for answering that. And then my second question is for staff. Because the city is not taking ownership of this, is there any financial impact to the city and county of Broomfield with this agreement being made?
No, not at this time.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Marsh Holstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna follow up on Councilmember Hinkle's questions. So you're saying, so right now, the maintenance of the road is done by the developer, correct? It's paid for by the developer?
The current maintenance, yeah, I believe it's not currently being done by the district, no. And I believe the one made, if we have the map, the main road via Barra, I think that goes through the development, is maintained by the city. So it's just kind of this side access road that goes around the development. But this is actually how it all came up because we were looking at a snow removal agreement last year for the district. And then we decided that that could not be funded by the district because we did not have the power to. So I didn't see an agreement with Meritage about snow removal, but I know it was not the district.
Okay, so to clarify, so this transferring the ownership and the cost of maintaining the road over to the residents, basically, through the Metro District?
Correct.
Okay, and so you're saying that currently there's not any plans to increase the mill levy because of this additional cost?
No, not in our proposed budget. That's going to be heard on November 19th if any of the public wants to review the budget or come and discuss it. But from our accountant, we didn't have any increase to the mill levy.
Okay, but so if in the future it's determined that there needs to be an increase of revenue because of this, who approves that increase?
The board.
does it go to a vote of the residents, or is it just the board?
Not a vote of the residents, it would just be a vote of the board of directors.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Another question, how much do you all talk to the HOA over there? I think that's a great way to get news out to residents. And so what does that communication look like?
I personally, and forgive me, I've only been with special districts for the past year, so I have not personally been in contact with the HOA, but I know in deciding, who's going to maintain the road, the sidewalks, the streetscaping, there were conversations between the board and my boss with our blob with the HOA. So this has all been mapped out. So I know there is communication. If you're wondering about a specific communication, I'm not sure.
I'm basically wondering if this was in like a HOA meeting that's public and noticed so that the residents would have the opportunity to weigh in and understand what's going on.
Yeah, as far as HOA meetings, I'm not sure. I don't represent the HOA, but I do know it has been on publicly noticed meetings for the Metro District before coming here.
Okay, for the Metro District.
For the Metro District, yep.
Okay, I think that communication gap, I would like to see that, make sure that there's some good communication there because it is sometimes hard to get updates from the Metro District as someone who lives in Villa Vara, actually. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, could we follow up and clarify? The board right now has 3 of 5 members. 2 seats have been held vacant. Did you say there was an appeal made to residents who run for the vacant seats, or the 3 members of the board had the power to appoint 2 more to fulfill the full complement of the board? That's all. They all could do that, but they didn't.
I mean, we wouldn't just randomly select a
There'd
homeowner.
be a
rather,
process,
we
but
would-
the board, the current member, 3-member board could appoint 2 more board members.
Yes, of course.
Or they could do an election. Does the charter specify how those positions are filled?
You would need an election if we received more self-nomination forms from homeowners than vacancies there are to fill. So say, for example, there are 2 vacancies and we receive 2 self-nominations from eligible electors within the district, and we only receive 2 of them, then
To be appointed.
they would be appointed, the election would be canceled, and they would just be.
And you haven't received any self-nominations, therefore those are vacant.
I'm sorry, I mean, I can look into this. I didn't refresh myself on self-nominations from residents.
Okay, and then to follow up on Councilmember Delgadillo's point, it doesn't sound like there's been robust communication to the residents, either from the Metro Board or through the HOA, which would be one way to reach the residents, about either vacancies or this switch from the developer to the district.
I
That'd be
mean,
fair.
any statutory requirements to notify the residents of the vacancy are absolutely followed. As far as this resolution tonight, we did publish in the newspaper within the district. We did mail out notices to residents of the districts, and then
About this switch.
about this specifically. Mhm. And then, of course, it was on agendas which are posted on our website, which is public.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And Councilmember Ward, you changed your mind? Yeah. Okay, Councilmember Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one quick question. Let's say this council does not support changing the
ownership of
the amendment. Yeah. What would happen to the private property?
So, I mean, ultimately, I can't tell you what would happen with that property.
Yeah.
That would be, that is an agreement between the city and the developer. That's a private agreement. So ultimately, I mean, I didn't review like consequences of that agreement not following through, because that is between the city and the developer. I would say I do believe it's in the best interest for it to be owned and maintained by the district, just because the district is already doing maintenance for other like Parks and Rec trails. They're already doing snow maintenance on sidewalks. There's already a levy for this, and I think it would be beneficial for the road to be owned and maintained by a local government entity versus a private developer that may or may not exist forever. I mean, who knows? I think it would just be better for uniform and consistent maintenance within the district, that property owners are also, they're already paying taxes for it, so.
And to follow up as well, can you just briefly go over what is in this area at the portions of Del Corosa Way and Via Lata Drive?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is around this area? Like what is in the district itself? Like building space,
Yeah,
storage
it's
units,
residential homes.
just residential homes? And this is again in Ward 2, correct?
Oh, I'm not sure about the word, I'm sorry.
Oh, Councilman Delgadillo lives there, so it is Ward 2. Thank you very much. Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next is Councilmember Lim.
I just wanted to ask staff, are we, this Metro District representative is representing that they fulfilled all the statutory requirements of notice. Do we have, can staff, does staff have the ability or to comment on that at all, or is that completely independent of our staff's commenting? I mean, I'd like some collaboration if possible, but if it's not within our bounds, then just say so, please.
Mr. Front is making his way down. Thank you, Carl.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Carl Front, Senior Attorney. Councilmember Lim, Metro District Council did provide to me evidence of the publication for notice of this hearing tonight. As far as the other statutory notices to the residents and stuff, I can't speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, we do have the affidavit of publishing from when this went out, and we can also have our paralegal who mailed out the notices prepare an affidavit regarding that mailing as well, if that would be helpful for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a question for staff. I guess since the reason we're here is the road was not developed to our specs. When this area was being developed over the past 5 to 10 years, why was it not developed to our specs, knowing that we have an agreement between the developer and the city and county of Broomfield for us to take over ownership?
I actually love it when council asks questions that I don't have an answer to, because that means that I'm learning something as well. I can't answer that. Do we have an answer to that? I'm looking back at our phone a friend crew. Team, love the teamwork, as always. Justin Munt, our deputy, is making his way down. Thank you, Justin.
Good evening, Justin Munt, Deputy Director of Public Works, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. To try and answer your question, I did pull the plat, the site development plan for this area. I think originally it was supposed to be developed differently, but it does have in here that originally the private streets were just supposed to be developer owned and maintained. And this particular area was platted as private. So I think it was just always intended to be a private drive. Does that answer your question?
Yes. That does answer my question.
I don't know that it was slated to be Broomfield at some point. It was just meant to be a private area.
I will make one small note to that, just because I
Want to
know.
go to the mic so we
Oh,
can
I'm sorry.
hear the people at home.
just-
can hear. That's
I
okay.
mean, I appreciate that clarification. I do want to just make one note that as far as plats go, very frequently private roads are labeled as like private, even when it's known that they are going to be maintained by a local government entity. So just, I mean, I wouldn't call it a private road just by virtue of the plat. I mean, this was contemplated in the subdivision improvement agreement with the city. So I just wouldn't want to rely on that phrasing. I believe it's because of the way that the road was developed was the issue.
Thank you. Anything else?
I mean, honestly, I'm a little more confused now, but
Oh, no. No, don't be.
I guess I'm confused because we have it platted as a private drive according to our city and county staff, but we have a subdivision agreement that says we're going to take possession and ownership of those private driveways. And so I'm just confused as to why there is that discrepancy. And if the subdivision agreement is the controlling document, why was it not built to city and county specs if we agreed to take it on? I'm letting our staff kind of discuss.
Mayor, can I recommend that we take a break?
Myself. and
Excellent.
Continue the conversation.
Thank you.
Really well. Because I didn't going on forever. So let's go ahead, if you don't mind, because I've been waiting. Yeah, we're on break. We'll be back at 8:25. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're in the home stretch, and we're going to continue with our questions on item 7I for the Broomfield Business Center Metro District Service Plan Amendment. We were on Councilmember Ward's questions when we took a break, so we'll go back to you.
Thank you. Apparently it was cleared up during the break for me, but Mr. Roman, I hear you have 15 words or less about this issue.
In the city manager's office on various things, including metro districts. So I'm just going to kind of, I apologize. I don't think I get 15 minutes.
I was repeating what Manager Hoffman said.
I'm just going to, partially because I think there were 15 questions. So let me just summarize a few things just for everybody to see. One is the road again is in red. So if for some reason the developer were to walk away from the road at any point, then the adjacent property owners would all have responsibilities for maintenance and operations of the road. That would be snow plowing and other things. While we don't know if the developer is going to walk away at any given time, but that would be the potential. So that is the downside risk, because I think that was one of the questions council said is, what happens if we don't approve this? That is the downside risk. So the movement to the Metro District ensures permanency of the maintenance and operation of the road. So that's step one. The second step was, why was it built not to city specs? Originally, this development was meant to be a commercial development as well as some residential. So it truly was supposed to be mixed use, but primarily commercial. So therefore, this road was an access road for the businesses' buildings, i.e. for where employees would be driving. Thus, it would be appropriate for it to be a private road as opposed to a public road coming off of Via Vara. So therefore, that's why it was built in that manner, because it was really in the initial development intended to be a different thing than it's what it's become. As the development has moved forward and as we've seen the economy change, but this has been going on for a period of time, especially up in this area, residential supplanted the commercial. And thus you have a different type of road per se than what might have been initially built in the original development. But now it is not considered a full access road since it wasn't built. This is the other part. We, the city and county of Broomfield, will not accept a private road. So therefore, if it stays in its current formation and doesn't need repairs or complete overhaul, no one would switch it to our standards and therefore we would not accept it. So at what future date would this road be improved up to a city standard road? Maybe a while away, and it would be very expensive. So therefore, in the various parties' interests, including the adjacent property owners, the residents in that area, going to a standard approach to how you would pay for the ongoing maintenance of the road, i.e. potholes and other things, as well as the operation snow plowing and other things, this is the most effective manner to make that transition. So the part of all of this that's going through is that. I want to come back to one last element, I think, of the questions to make sure I get them all right, and that is about representation on the Metro District Board. As we have shared with the council when we've talked about metro districts and where we might be going forward, this is a current metro district, and therefore the rules of how they get to elect and replace their board members are set by them. So as council members have suggested in other cases, when there's vacancies or if something were to happen, perhaps more residential more existing residents being on the board would be a good thing. That would be something that this metro district would need to go do, is recruit, possibly appoint, has been pointed out, but in future elections. And that is something that has been a struggle, as we've heard from other metro districts. It's difficult to get people to want to be on these boards. And so that is something that is a challenge, and that's something we were talking about and that we'll be bringing back to council in March when we come forward with some ideas about reform to future metro districts, and hopeful that some existing metro districts may adopt some of those reforms. So Council Member Henkel, I think that's getting back to that metro district reform. So I think it's great for us to say from the bully pulpit of City Council that it'd be good for this metro district to perhaps recruit residents to be on the board, but we cannot require it. That is not within our abilities at this point, but it is something that they may want to consider and do going forward. So I think I've covered all the questions. I'm happy to take any additional ones. So thank you very much, Mayor, for allowing me to step up and kind of summarize all 4 of the key points.
Thank you very much, Mr. Romine. We'll continue with any questions that may be lingering. Did you have any more after that, council member? Okay, Councilmember Hankel.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Romine. Yeah, I think in the future, we might just need some sort of, reform over metro districts in that sense. But for the sake of this evening, I just wanted to make sure that people weren't just sort of, had their taxes increased overnight and, without any of their input or have them serve on the board. I think we get a lot of complaints about like metro districts and they're saying, hey, I was never notified that I could run for this, or I was never notified that this was going to increase. So I think I just need an answer about you could impose a mill levy due to the waiving of the foregoing limitations on it. So is there a plan to increase the mill levy this year, next year? What's the plan to increase the mill levy, or is there one?
And again, I'm sorry, I'm not sure exactly what the reference to the waiving of funds of what you're.
It says a statutory, so that means like at the state, and constitutional limits also at the state on the district's ability. So there's normally limits on your ability to increase its mill levy for provision of operation and maintenance. So normally there's a restriction on that. And then it says the district, though, received the electoral approval, though, to waive those foregoing limitations. So part of my question is how did we get that waived? What was the process for that? Because it sounds like normally that isn't allowed. And then is there an increase in the mill levy planned?
As far as what's proposed for the next budget year, there is no proposed increase for the mill levy. I actually think the total mill levy went down for debt. So there was not an increase for general operating. As far as the waiver, I believe what you're referencing is an election question. And I apologize, I didn't refresh myself on all of the election questions that were passed. So that is an option for districts to waive growth limits that they may have. But I'm sorry, I'm not sure if this metro district has waived that. We haven't had a recent election.
Okay.
So Mayor Pro Tem and council members, so you can think of it similar to a debrucing. So most of the metro districts have debruced, which allows them to do certain things, as you know, but it'd still be the board that would be making those decisions, and the voters have given that. And we'll double check on that in this particular case. Many metro districts have debruced, which allows them to adjust it. The side part, though, is I just want to reference again is there is, when we allow certain metro districts to get formed, we do oftentimes set maximum mills. And so those things do sit within it too. So we'll double check on that, but I believe it's probably a debrucing issue. That what you're really referencing is that. But we'll double check and let council know if we've made a mistake there.
Thank you. All the questions I have now.
Good. And Councilmember Cohen.
I'm going to talk really slowly.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, and the interest here for Councilmember Hankel and myself is there are 25 metro districts in Ward 5. There'll be 29 by next year. So want to make sure I understand how they operate. Who approves the maximum mill levy?
So when a metro district comes to be formed within the city and county of Broomfield, therefore it will come to city council for formation of a metro district. One of the options, you do have certain options in which you can put in place. One of them is a maximum mill levy. And that can be both for the capital side as well as the operation and maintenance. So think of it as, you can go up to, we'll call it, again, we oftentimes have used 50 mils. It's not necessarily where we might be on particular things, but let's say it's 50 mils. Then the board can go in and go to 40 mils as an example when they apply it, and then they still can move up to 50 at some point. The second part of it, and this is not to get too long of an answer, so I apologize, but under certain parts of the way capital is placed, bonds are placed, they're placed for the value, and therefore the mills must adjust to the bond level, which oftentimes causes, as an example, school districts, mills to go up and down in a period of time because it's based around the valuation of the total property within the area. And so they have to make their bond payment, and the mills are related to the bond payment. So But we set, on formation, we get to set the maximums if that's what council wishes to do.
Okay. Well, I'm just, as we're getting our questions answered, disabuse me of this scenario that we have the private road that's not up to spec, that would have to be brought up to spec at some point when it deteriorates, but it's being transferred to the Metro District. So the developer who built it is transferring to the Metro District. The Metro District will now be responsible for bringing that road up to code at some point. Because it's, I don't know if the time frame for a substandard road to when it would need to be.
If it could stay and maintain as a private road, and that can go on forever. I mean,
Okay.
there are definite private roads within areas. We only accept them when they meet our standards. If
Okay,
that
so
makes
the
sense.
road could be in its current condition for years.
Yeah, and this will happen, this happens in developments where you'll see like alleys and then small one-way roads in certain developments where they're constrained. And I'm not saying necessarily in Broomfield, I'm just saying generally. And that's what a private road oftentimes is. They're not set up for the same widths. They don't have the same curbs, all of those types of things. And so they are serving a particular purpose. It's giving access into an area.
Okay. And you're telling us also the last point, I promise, that our fixation on the fact that there's 2 vacancies and that the board is only represented by developers now, it's unreasonable to expect anything else, that's standard for metro boards, and we shouldn't, for say, ask that the board has residential membership before they make a move like this.
We can ask them to, you as council members can ask them to do things. We can't require them to do it. When we look across, and I'm going to be off of this, I look at, man, it's 48 metro districts. There are vacancies on a number of those boards. They do have to have a quorum. So as you can imagine, they must have 3. And oftentimes in many of our metro districts, the developers are still the majority of the boards.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please read the proposed resolution by title?
Proposed resolution number 2025-148, approving an amendment to the first amended and restated service plan for BBC Metropolitan District.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? Councilmember Marsh Olson? So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Nguyen?
I second this motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Council, please cast your vote electronically. All council members have voted. The results will be displayed, and that passes unanimously. Thank you so much, everyone. And finally, the last item of business for council's consideration this evening is Councilmember Ward's request for future action for City Council to adopt a resolution demanding RTD reserve FISA funds for fast tracks completion and seek alternative funding for bus replacements. Councilmember Ward, you have 5 minutes to present your request.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as a quick reminder, 2004, voters in the RTD district approved a 0.4% increase in the sales tax for completion of fast tracks projects. In 2012, the RTD Board of Directors created the Fast Tracks Internal Savings Account known as FISA, where they set aside money every year to go towards completion of unfinished fast track corridors, particularly the Northwest Line, completing the N Line, Southwest Extension, and the L Line Extension. Currently, RTD is facing budgetary issues, as everyone else is, but theirs seem to be particularly worse. RTD is looking at 2 things. One is more concrete than the other. The really concrete one is they are looking at using it's $57 or $69 million of the FISA account to defease existing Fast Tracks debt by placing that money in an escrow account. Their intent is to save money on interest payments, although I don't think the interest payments that they will save on are worth the amount that they're going to lose in revenue set aside for capital expenditures related to unfinished fast tracks corridors. The other, not so quite as concrete, but it is an option that RTD has floated, is when it comes time to replace the Flatiron Flyer bus fleet, of which their original order was 59 buses. They want to use FISA account dollars to pay for those buses instead of using traditional funds like you would find from the FTA low and no emission bus grant program. There's no indication right now that the federal government's going to cut that program necessarily, but stranger things have happened. And so my request is that we adopt a resolution demanding RTD seek alternative funding for any procurement of buses in this particular case, as well as maintain the existing fast tracks FISA account reserves for future capital expenditures related to fast tracks corridors, like signing the IGA between Front Range Passenger Rail, RTD, and CDOT, which they seem to be hesitant to do now. That concludes my presentation, Mayor. I'll take questions
All
and
right.
comments.
All right, thank you very much. Who wants to go first? Councilmember Marshall Holston.
Thank you, Mayor. So when I was at Commuting Solutions a couple weeks ago, the RTD representative presented that they were going to take $45 million out of FISA, but then they had a board meeting, and at NADA last week, it sounded like they were backtracking that. Have you heard anything different?
Councilmember Ward.
That's why I said the bus thing is not quite as concrete. It's still, I think, an idea they are floating, but it is not a permanent thing right now because the replacement timeline, if RTD follows its normal replacement timeline for the 3,600 fleet buses, the Flatiron Flyer buses, would be roughly 2030.
I support going forward with this.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Councilmember Ward? All right. Oh, you do? Okay, Councilmember Henkel.
I think there was just more in your request. So I think part of your request too was towards the end of your request was talking about and reserve the 45 million to go towards completing the Northwest Rail as promised, which is 55 trains a day. Is there an end date that you had in mind for that?
December 1st, 2034, as required under SB 25-161 by the state legislature.
And so if the state legislature does not do that, is that incumbent upon the state legislature to modify that? Or is there different modifications adjusted if they don't have the budget for that?
I mean, the state is happy to amend their own statutes as they so choose. But I think if RTD wants to attempt to make any goodwill reestablishment with the voters, they should expeditiously look to complete fast tracks as promised.
And so the cost would be, we have discussed this before, and I don't think that we had a cost aligned with this. So if this does move forward, I would like to have a cost with it. And it is my understanding that some of that money is going to be taken out, and we're actually only going to be left, instead of 260 million, there's going to be only 145 million. So maybe almost half of that amount. So I'm curious as to what message, are we sending a message or are we sending a contract?
Well, it's a demand. There's no contract. We're not allowed, I won't say that, but there's no contract we're trying to establish. This is just our expression that RTD needs to maintain what it has since 2012, which is the money set aside in FISA, the Fast Tracks Internal Savings Account, needs to be used towards the capital expenditures related to completing unfinished Fast Tracks corridors, which includes Northwest Rail, as promised to the voters in 2004 at 55 trains a day.
So you're sending a reminder, is that what you're saying? Or and then
Very strong reminder.
a strong reminder. If this does move forward, then I would like to have language in there as far as if this is a reminder from Broomfield. I think that that would be conducive to the nature of the letter. Thank you, that's all.
All right. Councilmember Cohen.
Quick question, since you're obviously much better versed on the RTD budget. So they want to use the 45 million rather, they don't have a capital improvement budget.
They do have a capital improvement budget. They're going to have to be redoing their capital improvement budget because they have recently discovered somehow that they forgot about $300 million in light rail maintenance. So I'm not gonna talk about their CIP budget.
That there's no indication they have revenue to replace the 45 million in a timely manner. They're not loaning themselves 45 million and going to replace it at some point.
That is my understanding, that if they were to pull funds from Fast Track's internal savings account, that it would be not necessarily a loan or paying Peter or robbing Peter to pay Paul. If they continue with their current kind of methodology, they would still be putting money set aside into Fast Tracks as they have every year, except for maybe a couple years during the pandemic. But that still doesn't address the fact that they are pulling money that they've already set aside under policy since 2012.
Okay, one last question in terms, considering many of us don't think we'll ever see Fast Tracks, is there anything to the argument that, well, it's better to spend the 45 million on new vehicles that are more efficient and environmentally friendly now and having that utility versus putting the money in the bank and decades from now, maybe something will happen with it?
I mean, my answer to that is RTD, like most other transit authorities, particularly large transit authorities across the country, should be applying rigorously for grant funding that is still available under current federal law with the FTA, and using those funds as the primary mechanism in which to replace bus fleets in this case. And more importantly, since they haven't quite yet settled on the 45 million, but they are much more certain on the defeasance payments, that those funds should continue to be set aside for capital expenditures related to unfinished Fast Tracks corridors until such time as the voters release them of their obligation, if that so happens.
Thank you.
Well, I support it, but do you know what's going on with that RTD Accountability Committee?
They've been having a couple meetings. I have not paid attention to them because I've had a plethora of other things to do.
Look over that, because
They are supposed to make a recommendation to the state legislature, if I remember correctly, by the beginning of next year.
Okay.
And then from there, the state legislature will do whatever it does with that finding.
Thank you very much. All right, so is anybody opposed to moving forward with this request? Not seeing any. You're not in favor? Is anyone else not in favor? Okay, we got enough in favor, so we'll move forward. Ms.
Mayor, can I just get a quick clarification so we
Absolutely.
can prepare something for the next meeting? We'll work to get this prepared for the November 18th meeting. And what I hear is a resolution.
Yes.
Okay. And what I'll do, because sometimes it's hard to draft these, we'll draft it based on the comments heard tonight and Councilmember Ward's original request. I'll circulate it to him first, and then I'll circulate it to council before we go to publication. So hopefully we can get some input and not be changing it from the dais. That would be my goal.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Is that clear enough direction? Okay, I didn't do a yes or no down the line, but there was really only one. Okay, I feel like there was. You'd let me know if there wasn't. All right, okay, we're good. All right, well then that is all we have. Is there any other business to come before the council from my council colleagues or staff?
Mayor, I just got a note. So staff had sent out the email that the Polko Awards, we were the top performer.
Yeah.
And then Katie Doling, the city manager from Lafayette, was actually in Tampa. And tonight they made the announcements for the national winner. And Broomfield won the 2025 Best in Governance Economy. And so we're going to include that in any responses to residents that we send back out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We're getting, national recognition. It's something we should definitely be proud of.
I'll send something out tomorrow.
All right. Wonderful. That's a great note to end on. There being no further business, the business meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.